Hi, thanks for joining me today. During this session, we are going to talk about some of the basics of professional behavior in field. As you begin thinking about and getting ready for field, it's not too early to think about your professional presence. Many times, as a field instructor, I advise students to think of their field placement as if it was an extended job interview. You may rely on your field instructor or colleagues to act as a reference in your job search, or you may want to be considered at some point for a position with your field placement or a partner agency. What do you want your colleagues to say about you? One of the most important things to consider as you enter field is your attitude. Consider this information. Life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So really it's not what happens to you, but your reaction and perception about the event that matters the most. Considering the previous slide, what could this mean in terms of your placement? You're going to have numerous learning experiences in field. Therefore, you should be open to the opportunities available to you and to new experiences. Remember that your internship provides an opportunity for you to learn new skills and gain practice experience in a safe, supervised environment, so take advantage of it. This is also a time that you'll begin to learn how to ignore things that may be uncomfortable at the time, but they won't necessarily be a big impact in field. Some examples might be your schedule. Maybe you thought you would be able to work 8:30 until 5, but your field instructor wants you to work 8 until 4:30 due to agency protocol. Or perhaps you really wanted to work in one particular area of your agency, but you were assigned to another area. Are these reasons to get angry or to decline a placement? And remember, it is okay to ask questions to get an understanding of what you are being asked to do. However, don't let little things such as this get in the way of the big picture. And remember, the primary reason you are in field is to learn how to be a social worker first. Be flexible and ready to learn. How do you show your field instructor and colleagues that you are ready to learn? You do this through your words, actions, tone of voice, attitude, and body posture. Your overall presence should convey that you are in your placement to learn. You are there to listen. You are a team player. You are there to meet the client's needs. You will respect the supervisor even if you disagree with them. You are willing to work hard to get the job done, and you are dependable. Consider this. Spoken words only consist of 7% of human communication, while the other 93% is body language. Further broken down, tone of voice accounts for 38%, while body language accounts for 55% of communication. People pay more attention to how you say something and to what your body language is saying than to what is being said. Does your body language convey the same message that your words are saying? Given how important body language is when you interact with others, it is important to consider ways to improve or enhance your body language. First, smile. It can improve not only the interaction with others, but it can help lighten your mood and change your attitude as well. Keep an open space. Don't stand with your arms folded or sit with your bag or notebook clutched to you. Make eye contact with the person you're speaking with. Be comfortable in your space. Sit up straight. Don't fidget, squirm, or slouch in your chair. Minimize distracting movements such as tapping your fingers or biting your nails. Talk slower if you tend to be a fast talker. Be inclusive in your actions. Lean in when talking to close the space between you and the person you're speaking with, although you don't want to crowd their space or get too close. Smile and maintain eye contact. Be open with your emotions and make sure that your emotions are congruent with what you're talking about. If you're happy, show it on your face. If you're sad, it's okay to show it with your facial expressions. And finally, adjust your body language so that you can best connect to the person you're talking with. If they seem to be more relaxed and at ease, adjust your body language so that you don't appear to be too stiff. These are more examples of ways to adjust your body language so that you show you are ready to listen and interact with the other person. Make sure you are making eye contact when speaking and listening to the other person. Are you quiet while they are speaking? Make sure your hands are in your lap or by your side and not drumming on the table or in your mouth. Are your feet resting quietly on the floor, or are you shuffling them back and forth or shaking your legs? Are you sitting up straight and facing the speaker, or are you slouched and turned sideways? Are you thinking about what the person is saying to you, or are you thinking about all of the things you need to do or what you're going to say next, or even your grocery list? Are you showing interest in what the other person is saying? This slide depicts some of the body language postures we spoke about in the two previous slides. Are you open and interested, or is your posture really saying that you are defensive and closed? Are you confident, or does it appear that you are nervous and insecure? Look at some of the postures in this slide and remember how important body language is when you are speaking with others. People may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. Think about what you want people to hear from you and how your body language and tone of voice convey that. I'm going to say that sentence again. People may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. Think about what you want people to hear from you and how your body language and tone of voice convey that message. Along with body language, an important aspect of your professional presence is how you dress for your interview and for field each day. When considering what you will wear to your placement, there are several things to consider. First, what is your agency's dress code? Do they prefer you to wear business casual, or do they allow more casual attire on certain days? One way to help you understand the dress code is to pay attention to what your supervisor and your colleagues are wearing. In your agency, it's better to blend in than to stand out by wearing clothing that doesn't fit the dress code. This is not necessarily the time to wear your most extreme outfits or express yourself with clothing or accessories that aren't appropriate for a professional environment. You should also keep safety in mind when choosing your attire. You may work in an agency who deals with children with behavior issues, so you may not want to wear dangly earrings or necklaces that could be ripped or pulled. You may also consider your shoe choice and choose closed-toed shoes or shoes with a smaller heel on days when you are working out in the field. A good rule of thumb when getting ready for field is to err on the side of formality rather than dressing too casually. I like to tell students in my agency that if they question the outfit when they put it on, it's probably a good idea to wear something else. These photos depict some examples of professional attire for women. It may not be your personal style, but it will give you some ideas of work-appropriate clothing. Now some ideas for the guys. If you would like more ideas, there are great resources on the internet, including sites like Pinterest. So now that you've seen some examples of work attire, I would like to share a few tips to keep in mind when choosing clothing for work. Consider clothing that fits and is not too big or baggy. You should wear shoes that are clean and shoes that are easy to walk in. This is probably not the best time to wear your 3-inch heels. Keep your hair neatly groomed and out of your face, and consider wearing makeup that's neutral. Some things to avoid when choosing your clothing would be flashy big jewelry or clothing that's too tight, too short, or too revealing. Anything that is extreme and calls attention to you, as well as clothing that is too casual, such as t-shirts with inappropriate wording or graphics, jeans with holes in them, shorts, or anything else that would be questionable for the workplace. Again, think about your professional presence when considering your attire for placement. This slide gives you a good idea of the difference between business casual and professional attire. Many of the agencies in which you are placed might tell you that the dress code is business casual. This might include khaki pants or dress pants with a dress shirt with or without a tie. For women, you may consider dress pants or khakis or a skirt or a dress. You could also add a cardigan or jacket to dress it up. Some additional tips include dressing more conservatively when in doubt, keeping your clothes wrinkle-free, shirts with lettering or graphics should be avoided, and skirts should be no shorter than just above the knee. As you see in this slide, many people choose to express themselves through piercings, tattoos, and various hair colors. While this seems to be more prevalent today, many agencies, regardless of how the field instructor or the task supervisor may feel about it personally, have policies that prohibit employees from having visible tattoos, piercings other than ear piercings, and extreme hair color. This is something you should discuss with your agency at your interview if you have concerns about whether a tattoo should be covered or if a piercing should be removed. Millennials, or people who are between the ages of 18 and 29, tend to have more tattoos than people in other age groups, as nearly 40% have a tattoo. Of the 40% with a tattoo, about half have between 2 to 5 tattoos, while 18% have 6 or more tattoos. 70% of millennials with tattoos say they are usually not visible, and close to 1 in 4 millennials have a piercing someplace other than an earlobe, which is about 6 times the share of older adults who have piercings other than their earlobes. This graph gives you an idea of who has tattoos and piercings by their age. You can see that millennials have more tattoos than other age groups. This is something to consider when entering field, as you most likely will be working with people in other generational groups. This is another visual to give you an idea of tattoo approval by age group. Again, the older a person is, the less accepting they are of tattoos. This information is intended to help you plan for entering field and to consider that if you do have visible tattoos or piercings or even a non-traditional hair color, you will need to discuss during your interview whether it is against company policy. Things to consider are whether you will be required to cover your tattoos, possibly removing a piercing, or perhaps you'll be asked to pull your hair back or consider a more natural hair color if your hair is a non-traditional color. Remember that many agencies have dress codes that prohibit tattoos, piercings, and non-traditional hair colors, so keep this in mind as you enter field. Finally, as you prepare to enter your field placement, consider the art of negotiation and what it means in relation to your placement. Does negotiating with your field instructor mean walking in the door and telling her when you can work? Or does it mean telling your field instructor what you will and won't do while you're in field? No, not at all. It does mean that you need to consider the other person's interests and where they are coming from. There is an art to negotiating so that it is beneficial for both parties. When you're in negotiations with someone, find a time that is convenient for you both so you can talk without interruption, or find a time when there aren't a million other things going on to distract you. Sit down and talk calmly with the other person and find some common ground. Remember to use the body language tips we discussed earlier and move in when talking. Be brief and to the point. You should also avoid using empty threats. For example, when discussing your schedule with your field instructor, don't say, "Unless I can work from 11 until 7 every day, then I just can't do my placement here." This is really unrealistic, against field policy, and you won't be able to change placements because of something like this. So this really makes this an empty threat. Use your best skills and be open to what field has to offer. So this concludes our presentation today, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. I'm excited for all of you and can't wait to hear more about your field experiences. Thank you.